io mi sono segnato un paio di cose che vorrei chiedervi. Sostanzialmente vorrei partire da Giovanni perché abbiamo tracciato un quadro che è sia sociale che tecnologico, infrastrutturale. Volevo chiederti, intanto se i dati che hai visto ti sorprendono o sono in linea con il punto di vista che anche Telecom Italia, che è la prima infrastruttura di rete ovviamente in Italia, oltre che essere un operatore. E poi se questa crescita dell'uso social, che da una parte cresce, vediamo Facebook, e dall'altra rallenta, penso a Twitter, è una cosa che riscontrate.
Allora, buongiorno a tutti, prima saluto e vi ringrazio per l'ospitalità. Sulle numeriche, I can also, probably it's better to switch to,
Sure.
to English. Numbers, about the infrastructures, the numbers that we see are almost impressive, especially the Akamai numbers. We also have numbers because Telecom Italia is a group performing services also in Brazil, in Latin America in general. So something like 130 million customers, a huge amount, mostly on mobile. So we see the growing of the traffic on mobile with how to say, the social level helps the growing of the mobile data traffic. So the two facts are really correlated. The numbers of social and the way the people act and interact in the social world is part of our day-to-day job. In the late 2010 we start our first thinking about reputation monitoring room to analyze the conversation that were already there. We discovered that the reputation of Telecom Italia in the talking in the network was something like better than the reputation offline. So we decided to study why. And this is the start of these activities. Now we have something like 3 million talking about the overall group, considering all the commercial and institutional brand fans on Facebook. We started 2.5 years ago, so it's a long path, and something like 600,000 on Twitter. So we analyze every day the conversation, and we see a sort of for Twitter, the fact that it's becoming just a little bit less used probably is the payoff of the moment of celebrity, and probably the user base now is something more stable and uses not for fashion but mostly for a conversational, more also about the politics we have seen, no? So this analysis is also something that we use to measure all our projects, not only from end services and product. We've been the first in Italy to have a customer care based on Twitter, so it's already almost 2 years ago. This helps us to analyze and also to evaluate the results of our projects also in the communication fields. That is, even more correlated with the social playground in some ways.
Okay, thank you. I didn't remember about Daniele because I didn't see him.
Sorry about the delay. Yeah,
you were out for a coffee, no?
I wish.
Okay.
No, I know that some of you requested my slides on Twitter. Yes, Facebook employees use Twitter as well, and I just was making the slides available.
Okay, thank you. I was asking for that too.
You are the reason why I'm late.
Okay, okay. I'd like to cross some of your data, and I'd like to ask Daniele about what we saw in Vincenzo's slides. How do you see this kind of tension speaking about politics in this country? And starting your presentation, you talked about how Italy is different, and I'd like you to focus on that.
Yes, it is different, and the way we see this difference is in the adoption of technology, for sure, at first. That's what first strikes you. And the other trend, well, Italian people just use Facebook and use probably other social media just the same way as other people in the world. Because when you share something, you want to share something. And this is like a primary need in people, sharing, telling. What we are doing now here is sharing information. I, as a Facebook employee, I try to tell you what I know about my company and my job. And this is the most basic form of sharing. So there's no surprise that we see the same trends that Twitter can expose. So for instance, we mentioned before this festival di Sanremo. The first night I was curious and I wanted to go, and I saw the Facebook page of the festival di Sanremo, and the fan base was growing like at the rate of probably 1,000 fans per hour, which was like very surprising because I know that Rai didn't run any campaign, didn't promote that much. The only effort that they did was to promote the Facebook page between this thing, so before and after their commercial break on television. It was kind of surprising the usage that people do of Facebook. Like they combine television and social media, so they start a conversation, they bring a conversation. Same trend that we see on Twitter, so this is pretty normal. The other difference that we see is in language. So we know that we are speaking English now, but the fact that I was speaking Italian before is because I know that you can convey a message in Italy more effectively in Italian, not because I speak Italian better than English, but because it's our same language, so it's something that connects us. If I'm an Italian, you're an Italian, we implicitly know that we have something to share together. So this is not probably something on the engineering side, it's more of a philosophical question if you want. But it's something that I noticed. So I think 1 year ago, I started to notice this. I was in a client meeting in Rome with all the people who were Italian in the room, and I was with one of my colleagues, and she was American. So she couldn't speak Italian, but she could understand. And from the moment that she started to speak, 20 minutes after, like, she lost attention from, like, there were 25 people in the room, and they could understand and speak English, but just they didn't want to because, like, they were all Italians. So they mimicked me and the other teammate, and he was from the Milan office, started speaking Italian. Like, people just suddenly woke up and started to ask questions. So this is a small detail, but it tells you a lot about our language, the culture that we share together. This is the difference that we want to nurture in the Italian market. We don't want Italy to speak English all of a sudden. We want Facebook to speak Italian a bit better.
I see that. Vincenzo, one of the things you highlighted in your keynote was the big role that the TV and mass media market still has, and how the social media is following. Can we use this term? And why do you think we are still under the 5 million people rule? Because we see that Facebook is growing and is very big in Italy. Let's say 1 in 6 person, but over the 1 in 6 person. But how is the conversation agenda set?
Yeah, you know, from a research perspective, we choose Twitter because all tweets are public. In Facebook, you know, by default, you have privacy level settings. So Twitter is our playground to understand moods, Italian moods. But the same, I can say, we can apply it to Facebook too. I mean, what is impressive is that social media in Italy is growing, but what is growing is awareness about social media, social grammars, how to use tools, social tools, the growing of the hashtag, for example. It's a signal of the growing of conversation, the awareness of the interconnection between people. And people express themselves through comments on television, for example, about TV shows. The difference between Facebook and Twitter is that people on Twitter tweet from their account. In Facebook, they talk about television on Facebook, on the specific Facebook page of this show. So the same. It's the case of Sanremo, for example. But I mean, the awareness, this awareness that is growing, is for me it's impressive because I think we are more and more conscious of this public conversation. We are not afraid of sharing in public, and I think this is a good news because people are asking things to companies like Telecom Italia. They're in public. They're pushing companies to be more open and transparent. So I think it's good.
It's a push. That was, I think.
Yeah, it's a push because big companies need this kind of push. But it's good because I mean they are more willing to open themselves to start a conversation.
My last question to James. Then we are open to the room. You showed us some impressive data on mobile, and Daniele too as well. But how do you think that this is gonna change our information perception, and so how is changing social platforms and in not just in Europe or maybe in Southern Europe as Daniele said, but even in growing countries?
Well, one thing is clear is that with more and more adoption, more and more people can participate in social media and social interaction in ways that they can't if they're not connected. So that alone is a tremendous influence. But for what we do, we don't often look in great detail at the content that's being served, but we're very concerned with the delivery and how it's being served. And I find using my mobile device, and I use it a lot, the sites are often not able to do quite as much as I could have done on a desktop site. The functionality is almost there, but not quite, and then the connectivity can often be a problem. And so I think if the mobile device is going to be a primary access device for many people, we have to make sure that they're able to get the functionality that they need to get the same kind of experience, the same kind of performance, so that they're on the same internet as everyone else.
One very last question. Intanto chiedo di preparare dei microfoni al primo coraggioso di pensare alla sua domanda. Speaking about, you spoke about some attacks and the growth, and even if you don't care, let's say, about content, what was impressive to me was the amount of attacks to e-commerce sites, and that we can talk about media and government side, but that's a conversation too, because what's the reason of these attacks?
Well, the different attacks have different reasoning behind them. I think the ones that are directed towards public sites, those tend to be for having a large effect, for getting attention, for making a political statement. The ones that are towards the e-commerce sites, it can be the same thing. It can be for getting attention, but very often it's for financial motivation as well. There might be extortion where they're saying, okay, you pay us or we'll take your site down, because these retailers do really depend on the internet now for a very large fraction of the money that they make, or it's their only way of doing retail. So The motivations are varied. The one thing that is clear is that the attacks have become pervasive. You can't be on the internet today and expect that your site will be safe and won't get attacked. Everyone's being attacked, and the only prudent thing to do is to make sure you have protection measures in place to prevent it.
I see that. Thank you. So, la prima domanda, our first question. Sì.
In italiano, in inglese?
Oh, come vuoi.
Okay, I'm Giovanni Longo from Linux Bird Social Magazine. My question is, I can confirm in Italy I am active a lot on Twitter, on social network, and I can confirm people use Twitter a lot to speak about, to talk about TV, traditional media, okay? In my opinion, this is not a good thing, because I expect internet to offer media content original from internet, not from traditional media. My question is, this happen only in Italy or also in the rest of the world? And what's your opinion about the role of traditional media in Italy respect to new media, social media, internet? Okay, thank you.
So I think this is a common pattern. It doesn't happen in Italy only; it happens everywhere. And the thing is, it's the content that matters. So I see, for instance, in Italy, people taking pictures or screenshots of newspapers, paper newspapers. I mean, dailies. Shoot a photo and put it on Instagram or put it on Twitter, and that drives shares. So it's this kind of cross-sharing between the offline world and the online world. This happens, and it happens everywhere. So it's a common pattern. Then again, it's sharing. It's an information that I take from somewhere, and I transport that. I copy that information somewhere else. It's a matter of distributing information, and what we are doing as Facebook, but I think probably Twitter and Google Plus are trying to do the same, is to create this platform in which you are free to share content. And this is it. This is our basic mission, our basic statement. We want people to share because we know that people share for the reason that I was stating before. So I don't see nothing special in Italy being different in this. I would say this is a common pattern, and the thing is, when you see a relevant content, you want to share it, or you want to keep it with yourself, which is another thing that might happen. So you see something, or you see a nice panorama, a nice scenario here, probably in Trieste, you want to take a picture. And even if you want to take it just for yourself, or just put in your timeline, for instance. This is another common pattern that happens on timeline. People want to nurture their own identity, even if it's a digital identity.
Ancora una domanda?
Posso aggiungere una cosa su questo?
Certo.
I just wanted to add about the content originally thought to be viewed on internet, that we are making some experiment on this, trying to put in the internet to the people of the world some content that normally you will see on a classic media in Italy 1 o'clock in the night. Yesterday I was looking television 1 o'clock in the night, and I was looking at an orchestra performing somewhere in Italy, broadcasted by Rai TV, and that's normally the way you can access to a classical niche content, but that is not so niche, because in Italy 8 million people like classical music. This evening we will perform on the web from Teatro Petruzzelli in Bari, live, in streaming, the opera Rigoletto. That is the prime evening of the teatro. So that what that means, that you can, how to say, try to find new ways with digital culture to give some boost to classical culture. We have done this with the Accademia di Santa Cecilia, In 3 years, we have had something like 150 people following performance live in live streaming. So these are content that are classical, that you can find also on the classical media and the old media, but that you can distribute in an innovative way. So we are experimenting this, just to say.
Nice.
Abbiamo ancora una domanda là in fondo e poi andiamo al coffee break. Siamo in ritardo, quindi lo taglieremo di qualche minuto.
Hello. Thank you very much for your input. I would like to know if you have ever considered what will happen in the future. We have this, let's say, social trend now, and we have seen that Facebook, Twitter, and the other social network are maybe now in the center of the web. But do you think that this trend will last forever, or you think that maybe in the future something could change in the approach of the users toward the net, in the use of the net?
Who would like to answer?
Everybody.
Okay. So no coffee break, just
I'll go first.
Okay.
It's very hard to see, like, now, from now to, I don't know, 5-10 years. It's very hard for me, even if we are probably have this edge in which we prepare functionalities that are pretty much like some months in advance. So sometimes when I speak, I don't know what to say, because probably my Facebook app is slightly more updated than yours, and sometimes I have very at this hard time, like, trying to say what is going to be launched and what not. But this is a long-term vision question. So I would say that people want to share, and we are seeing this evolution, this pattern from which we started from e-commerce having, for instance, reviews for a detail page. So you enter on Amazon, or you enter on another e-commerce, and you comment something, you want to review that product, but the review, it might be a good review, but it doesn't say anything about your identity, your name, what you are, who you are, what are your interests. And this might be very useful, because it might tell a lot about yourself. So the shift that I will envision is around identity, and hopefully Facebook is in a good position for that, because we don't want identity just to nurture our own databases and then do nothing with that. We want identity because we know that people need real identities, because people trust each other. So if you want the friend paradigm that we have on our platform, it means that you can have relevant information and information from the people that are relevant to you. So it's a mutual pattern that is based on identity. If you know that your best friend is your best friend because you know name, profile picture, and other details, other information, because probably you tag your best friend on Facebook, you have some connection. All this, what happens is that you have a relevant set of data that you use and you can share. So this is the pattern that I will envision. Identity is key, and it's something that is gonna stay for the future.
James, you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, it's true that it's very hard to predict. One thing that is a surprise for me is every time I look at that growth in cellular data slide, I have to remind myself that the very leftmost part, which was 5 years ago, that's when the first iPhone came out. And it's hard to believe now, right? I mean, I think we take iPhones and iPads and all of these devices for granted. They've been around forever, right? But no, it's just 5 years. So things are changing rapidly. It's hard to predict what it will look like. I think it's for sure we will still have sharing more and more and people using the internet in new ways. The specifics are hard to tell, but it's a trend that's clearly going to continue.
Okay, well, thank you.